Hey everybody, and welcome into the Schaefer Athletic Center as we get set for a new program here for the 2021-2022 athletic year. It's the Stevens Athletics Coaches Corner. I'm Drew Casey, and we're going to start things off with the head coach of the men's soccer program, Dale Jordan. Coach, there's absolutely no pressure for the first episode of the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, but there's an immense amount of pressure on me right now.
Well, we'll try and ease that pressure
Thank you.
over the next 15 or so minutes. Coach, let's jump right in. You're almost complete, believe it or not, with the non-conference part of your schedule. How would you assess the first 6 games for you guys?
It goes by so quick, doesn't it? Initial assessment, it's I would say good, not great, not where we want to be when it comes to conference time, but we've built, week by week, game by game. We have an incredibly difficult schedule. Some of the teams that we played have really tested us. So I think compared to other years, I think we know a little bit more who we are earlier than we've ever had before. So it's good for us as a program to be more aware, but we're excited to kind of finish out non-conference. We've got 3 fabulous games in the next week. We've got TCNJ, local rival, Stevenson, who've had some really good results lately. John Hopkins, they tied 2-2 the other night. And then a group called Amherst, who usually make it to Final Fours and national championship games. So really excited to test ourselves. I'm good friends with Justin Zapone, the head coach there, and it's kind of a really good barometer of where the program's going. And I think that sets us up lovely for conference. We'll have a better idea of who our main guys are, tactical changes that we can utilize, and really happy where we will be probably in another week's time. But I think overall assessment so far is good, but again, I don't think we're performing to our best right now.
Why with this team are you scheduling so difficult, or is this something that is just in your program's DNA?
I think we always want to try play the best teams possible. It's scheduling is always tough, especially when you've got back-to-back weekends, you've got other details like that. But I think this year there was just really good openings, the opportunity to play Amherst, the opportunity to play some really top teams, and it just challenges you. I think sometimes you could put a schedule together that's not as difficult, and you might fool yourself. You win-loss looks a little bit better, your win percentage, but you don't really test yourself. Whereas we've had fabulous tests. We just played a really good NYU team on Saturday, and we performed well, and we got punished 2 mistakes, and they won 2-0. So it's good to feel that earlier in the season rather than later.
Of course. It's the Stevens Athletics Coaches Corner, episode number 1. Head coach Dale Jordan with the men's soccer program. Drew Casey here with you, and delighted to have this each and every week for you leading up all the way through the spring season. Coach, with all of that said, where you are, why the schedule, what are the goals for this year's Stevens team?
The goal for us is always win regular season. That's the first thing that we take care of to get ourselves in the best position possible for postseason. So hosting is always a big thing of ours. Win your league, win your conference, and then postseason, put yourself in a good possible position. And the goal for us is to win the conference title. It'd be extremely difficult because there's 3 very good opponents between Misericordia, Arcadia, and Lycoming. So they're all going to be saying the same thing as us. But I think for us, taking care of the 8 games in conference to be able to host is our biggest goal right now.
We talked a little bit about the non-conference part that you've already played. 3 matches left to go, including TCNJ next, as we record this in the middle of September, on September 21st. What needs to improve in your mind, or what would you like to see improve between now and the conference opener in 10 to 12 days?
Yeah, brilliant question. I think for us it's refinement is probably the biggest thing, us being a little bit sharper in possession, a little bit sharper out of possession, and obviously the transitional moments of just recognising them a little bit quicker. I think probably the biggest priority is final third, being more ruthless, being able to play more entry balls into our strikers, attacking midfield players. That usually comes later though. The part that we like is defensively we're more organised at this moment in time than we've probably ever been. So I think that's been the basis. And now once we get the offense going a little bit more cohesion there, I think we'll be in a better spot.
Is there a result that you're most proud of so far? Is it from the opening weekend, maybe with SUNY Cortland and Ithaca, or is it somewhere else, or you don't really look at it that way?
Yeah, I think two stand out for me, and for two completely different reasons. I think Cortland, because they're nationally ranked top 25 right now, and to go to their place is always difficult, and they're a really strong, tough team, and we went double overtime with them, and that was great to see. We had strength in depth, so we played a lot of guys came off the bench, the standard never slipped, and there was we felt like, and we looked like a more mature team rather than years past we might have gone somewhere there and we might have given a good account of ourselves, but I thought we gave a fabulous account of ourselves, and that was good. And then NYU for a different reason, because I think a team that's ranked 14th in the country comes here, and again, like I said earlier, apart from two mistakes, performance wise we put in a more complete performance. There was mistakes and errors, and that's going to happen earlier in the season, but I think overall as a performance it looked a lot better. We connected the ball better, we were more cohesive going forward, we were difficult in defence. I mean, their top player was limited, this guy's been scoring goals for fun, and we limited him to one shot. So again, that's a plus. So if we kind of take that and then move forward and improve on the offense, I think there's some good parts. But those two games really stand out for me right now in terms of, I think that really helped our development. I really think it helped our confidence. I think it helped create more of an identity, who we are.
Looking to continue to do that as conference play in the MAC Freedom comes very, very quickly. We're almost there already, Stephens Athletics fans. Speaking of which, he is head coach Dale Jordan. I'm Drew Casey. This is the Stephens Athletics Coaches Corner, the first episode as we record here in the third week of September of 2021. Coach, before we get into a couple of individuals on your team that have shined so far, I want to ask you about how COVID and the missed season and all of the restrictions have impacted you from a roster standpoint. Your roster is large. It's 40 players. How did that come to be? How are you managing that? I think it'd be really interesting for the fans to really understand some of that.
Sure. Probably just to kind of back up a little bit more, spring, our department went above and beyond to allow us 6 weeks of practicing and playing. Without that platform, it would be very difficult right now. That gave guys the opportunity to come back into soccer and have guidance through us and to play games and be tested. So I think it'd be remiss of me to not mention that. So we were really well supported during that time. Sports information, athletic training, sports medicine, they were fantastic administrators. So that really, really helped us. When it comes to the larger squad, it's something we definitely didn't plan for, 100%. We normally don't go that large, but it's essentially 6 classes. So you've got first year students and sophomores who essentially are first years. I've made the mistake a ton of times lately. I'm speaking to sophomores and I'm like, hey, we remember what we do in fall, and they're like, no coach, we haven't been in fall. And I'm, okay, so it's remembering that. And then we've got seniors, 5th year seniors, graduate transfers, and graduate transfers has been a new one for us. Obviously a lot of guys get the NCAA COVID waiver and looking to be in graduate school here, so I kind of knew the first month would also be difficult for us in terms of who we are, our identity as a team. We're bringing in lots of new players from different programs who've been maybe coached in a different way or have had different objectives, and now trying to mesh us all together. So it's been interesting, but again, it's the staff that we've had between my incredible assistant coach, my volunteers who've been incredible in helping us out, strength conditioning, athletic training, all those components have helped us make the transition easier into the season. We've also, Jacqueline Douglas, who works with us from a sports psychology point of view. She's been able to work with individuals and us as a team to get us in the spot we are now. So I think without the support, it could have been really difficult. I still think with the numbers and different players coming in, we're still trying to find our identity a little bit, and we're getting closer to it. But without that support staff, we would have been a million miles away.
How do you hold the training session with 40 players? Sometimes
it's not too bad because D3 college soccer, there's a lot of injuries. So I think once we've had that amount of guys for practice. Goalkeepers obviously are a separate entity, so they get trained separately. And then it's just being really prepared and planned, detailed for different people on your team. So positionally, different units, whether it be defence, midfield, forwards, trying to construct them together, assistant coach taking part, like big parts of it, me taking different pieces. So really, really planned, really, really detailed. And then, of course, the dual process of trying to win games, but also develop the players at the same time, because there's going to be guys who are going to be here for 4 years, so we want them to improve every single day as well. So it takes a lot of work, but that's the fun part.
And just to clarify, it's the largest roster you've ever had by a bunch.
It sure is. I feel it.
He's head coach Dale Jordan with Stevens Men's Soccer. Drew Casey here as we continue with the Stevens Athletics Coaches Corner. Coach, let's get into a little bit of individuals. We'll go back to front. In goal, you've had two guys play significant minutes and play very well, Aiden Moriarty and Aris Castillas. What do each bring to the table for you on that back line?
Well, I mean, to preface it, I must be one of the luckiest Division 3 coaches out there to have not just one quality goalkeeper, but I have 4 of them. They practice with each other every day, and that's what makes them even better, because they push each other. They're like their own little brotherhood. It's quite funny. They get their own little different colour uniform and jersey, and they practice really intensely, really hard. When it comes to Aiden and Ari, they're similar and they're different, if that makes sense. They're both really driven in their own unique way, and then they bring different things. Like Aiden brings a fabulous intensity. His preparation is second to none. I've rarely seen a guy train as hard and prepares his body for a season. Really good vocal leader. He's been around, for a couple of seasons now, so he feels really comfortable in that role. He's a leader without having to wear the armband, which is always pleasing. Ari comes in with lots of Division 1 experience and European experience. His distribution is fantastic. He's laid back when he needs to be. He's like absolutely one of the funniest guys you'd ever meet. But when he's on the pitch, he's really intense and gets after it. But at the moment, it's just trying to see, will one bring certain characteristics that will help us in one game versus another. And it's a brilliant problem to have, because not only do they create a really good training environment, they've made it more difficult for our strikers to score. So when our strikers play against other goalkeepers, they probably feel a lot more prepared. So the work that they all do, but again, Nelson Capella and Justin Cross are also 2 goalkeepers in the program, and they're as close. They would probably start at most of their programs, but they do the work behind the scenes to prepare, and they may also get an opportunity too. But it's we're in a really strong position in the goalkeeper department.
As you say, a good problem to have. Moving up a little bit right in front of the keeper defensively, Tyler Dressman, we talked about graduate transfers. That's not necessarily a normal thing, but for Stevens at the Division 3 level, comes from Lehigh, Tyler does, and he's played every minute since he's been here this season.
For sure.
What has he brought to you guys?
Again, it's, Lehigh's program's fantastic. They breed winners there. They're really competitive, really tough. He's a warrior. He gets stuck in. He wins headers. He's gone in seamlessly. It's like he's played at Stevens all his life. Just brings a work rate to the group. Super humble guy. Just every day he wants to work, wants to improve, wants to get better, and even more importantly, makes everyone around him better. So he's been great for us, especially in the more physical games where he can win headers. He can clear the ball. He can make tackles that are important. So yeah, he's brought a lot to it. But again, in the central defence situation, we've a lot of depth, and I think that's made who starts even better. So like there's we've obviously Fritz, Gianni, first years Terry Thompson, Evan Kwan, Jake Jacquemont as well. All those guys could play that position, and they would be excellent. They just need to wait either their turn or wait for an opportunity. But overall, that's another area that we're really, really strong in, and the competition has just made practices better, and I think in the long run will help us.
Moving up to the midfield, a little banged up there. I'll let you speak to that in a moment. But Sean Mazur has really put together a very strong part of the first 6 games as well.
It's been great. Sean, I mean, it's a Mazur dynasty here. I've coached his 2 brothers. One's a volunteer coach here. They've all been captains here. His uncle's the head coach at St. John's. One of the best Division 1 college coaches out there who sets a standard. It's like when you talk to him for a few minutes, like a Harvard education. It's incredible. So he comes from a really, really strong soccer background. His dad is really into soccer, still plays. Sean's just ultra reliable. You just know what you're going to get with Sean every week. It's just that consistency. He's methodical, very cerebral, thinks about the game a lot, really cares. But we just trust him so much. But it's been hard because usually his partner in crime, who is Liam Masakia, those 2 have played together since their first year together. So they built up a really, really good relationship. Leo unfortunately got hurt against Cortland, which will leave him out for a few weeks. Hopefully we get him back soon. But the pleasing part for me is Bruno Andino has come into that position. And honestly, he's been fantastic. His first year, he was incredible, but he played out right for us. And now he's coming more central, and he's owning that position. Like he's making play, he's demanding the ball, dictating tempo. He's been fantastic. The guy lives for football. He's crazy into it, but his performances have been outstanding. So I think, although yes, we've missed Leo and his experience, Bruno's just done an incredible job. And then we've got 1 or 2 guys underneath them, John Caracappa, who's a graduate transfer, and Jack Seitz, Brendan Mulligan, who again are really close and helping us in practice to improve and making sure that those guys who do start are like really, really sharp.
He's Dale Jordan. We're wrapping up the first edition of the 2021-2022 athletic year. It is the Stevens Athletics Coaches Corner. I'm Drew Casey. So glad to be with you. Coach, we went from goalkeeper to defense to mid. Let's go up front. A guy who, as you said it to me earlier in the season, who just loves football. He's always watching. Is Cristiano Hawken. He's played a majority of the games so far. He's got a couple of goals and nearly 20 in his career. And somebody else who maybe has not been a known quantity is Emerson Kuzemka. Has got a couple of goals. Those 2 guys have shined for you offensively in the box score.
For sure. I could be here for a long time if I spoke about Cristiano. He's just the boy loves to play football and he lives to score goals. He's so serious about his game, his preparation, how he plays. Like he's ruthless. The killer instinct that guy has is incredible, and he's a winner. If he comes off the pitch and he hasn't scored, he's felt he hasn't played well or he hasn't contributed to the team, even though he's maybe had a fabulous performance. So he's a major component of the attack. I think it's been really pleasing with Emerson to be scoring goals. He's a really fit, brave boy who works really, really hard. And 2 springs ago, you could see he was wanting to become a first team guy, like a guy who was starting and really contributing, and he's worked really, really hard to get where he is. And then we've had Americo Vespucci, our first year, has come off the bench, and when he's on, he's electric. He's got fabulous technique. He's brave. He wants to take shots. He wants to go at guys 1v1. So that's really pleasing and his one. And then Zacharico, who I think he's come off the bench as well, and the energy that guy has. He's pressing. He's working hard. He's trying to get himself into the box. He's ensured that the level doesn't go down. and that's been a real bright spot for us. That yes, when Chris does come off, the standard doesn't drop. We've got really dangerous guys in around who can score goals if given the chance. And then just underneath them as an attacking midfielder is, potentially one of our most talented players is Adam Silva. Really, hasn't scored yet, but his ability to assist, and he's usually someone that probably pops up on most scout reports. And because of his technical ability, he's able to take that pressure. He's able to distribute really well, and I think, he hasn't scored yet, but I'd say if we did this in a couple of months' time, you're going to see that change significantly. So excited to see what they bring to conference.
Coach, last question, but by now the audience knows you have a very deep team. You get a lot of support from the community, especially from your alumni showing up for the home games here in Hoboken. Why should somebody come out to the Devon Athletic Complex this season, especially as conference play approaches, to see your team play?
Sure. Just probably a quick one on the alumni. We just have such incredible alumni, and reason being is we recruit incredible people who are really, really successful people in their professional life, and they had such a good time here that they want to contribute and they care. So it's really, really pleasing to see those guys come out, and guys who've not just been coached by me, but guys who've been coached by Devin Rensing, who was before me, and Tim O'Donoghue, who had incredible run here. They got to a national final in 2008, and we still hear from those guys. So I think it just goes back to Stevens is such a special place, not only for them but for us and the fans. I think one of the great things we do at home, and why people should come out at home, is the intensity at which we play at home. We're electric. It's a place we don't lose often. We really try to dominate every moment, try to play really attacking, exciting soccer, try to get goals, try to go forward. Usually most of my team talks when it revolves around being at home is attack. Go at them, be relentless, be ruthless. So it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere, and like I say to recruits, I say to our guys, under the lights, there's probably no better place to play college soccer in America. It's one of the best places, and I've been to a few of them, and it really is such a special place under the lights. It's nothing beats it, and nothing beats it when it's a conference final under the lights. That's one of the more fun things that happens here. So hopefully this year we can do something like that.
Well, Coach, best of luck. The conference schedule is just about underway. We hope to catch up maybe just before that conference final coming up in a couple of weeks. It'll be in November. No pressure, right? That was easy.
That was super easy.
That was easy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. This is the first episode. We're going to do this weekly, the Stevens Athletics Coaches Corner for head coach Dale Jordan with the men's soccer program. I'm Drew Casey, and you can catch this every week on the Stevens Athletics YouTube channel and, of course, on stevensducks.com. We'll see you next time.